Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and give you the core insights from, well, quite a stack of sources today.
That's right.
And today, we're taking a journey, mentally at least, to a place that conjures up immediate images. The Bahamas.
Yes.
Go on, picture it now. Waking up on those famous pink sand beaches, feeling that warm Caribbean breeze, looking out at crystal clear turquoise water. It's the postcard image, isn't it?
It really is the classic dream vacation spot.
But, our goal today is to sort of peel back that postcard. We want to dive deeper into what really makes this island nation tick.
Exactly, beyond the resorts.
We'll explore its true character, maybe uncover some surprising facts, things you wouldn't expect just from the brochures.
And we've really dug into a broad range of sources for this. We're looking at everything from the geography, the political setup, to the economy, society, even the key people who shaped the nation. Think of this as your shortcut to being genuinely clued in about the Bahamas.
Beyond the surface.
Precisely, understanding the systems underneath it all.
Okay, so let's get started. Let's unpack this. We began with that image, sun and sand. But what's the actual geographical picture?
Well, first off, the Bahamas isn't in the Caribbean Sea, technically. It's an Atlantic archipelago.
Oh, interesting distinction.
Yeah, and it's vast. We're talking 700 islands and cays spread out over a large area. But here's the kicker. Only about 30 of those islands are actually inhabited.
Wow, 30 out of 700. That's quite a concentration, I guess.
It is. And when you look at the total land area, it's roughly 13,940 square kilometers. The population is just nudging 400,000 now, maybe 403,000 by next year.
So land-wise, maybe comparable to Connecticut, but with way fewer people overall.
Right. The overall density is low, about 39.7 people per square kilometer as of 2022. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Go on.
Over 70%, 70, of the entire population lives on just one island.
70% on one island. Which one?
New Providence. That's where the capital, Nassau, is.
Okay, so Nassau isn't just a hub, it's basically the hub.
It's the absolute epicenter, the beating heart of the nation, really. And that concentration shapes, well, everything. Infrastructure, politics, resource allocation.
Yeah, that kind of concentration must pose some unique challenges, which makes you think, how do they govern a nation spread out like that, but with most people in one spot? What's the political structure?
It's a parliamentary constitutional monarchy.
Right, like Canada or Australia in structure.
So exactly. It's modeled on the British Westminster system. So King Charles III is the head of state, ceremonially.
Okay.
But the real political power, the day-to-day running of the country, that lies with the prime minister, who's the head of government, and the parliament.
Got it. So tradition meets elected democracy. And what does that parliament look like? Is it one house or two?
It's bicameral, so two houses. You've got the House of Assembly, that's 38 members elected directly by the people.
It's a democratic voice.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then there's the Senate. That has 16 members, but they're appointed, not elected.
Appointed, so that provides a different kind of check or balance.
Kind of, yeah. It allows for maybe different expertise or perspectives to be included. It adds another layer of scrutiny.
It's fascinating, that mix. This blend of monarchy, parliamentary tradition, and direct democracy for an independent island nation. Does that create specific governing dynamics?
Oh, absolutely. It raises important questions, doesn't it? How does this system balance the needs of bustling Nassau against the quieter, more remote family islands, as they call them?
Right. And managing things like, say, the economy across that spread.
Exactly. Which brings us nicely to the economy. And when you think Bahamas, you think
tourism.
You go. It's colossal. It accounts for something like 70% of the gross domestic product, the GDP.
70%, that's massive.
And it employs about half the workforce. Think about that. One industry employing half the people.
What are the visitor numbers like?
Huge. In 2024, projections were heading toward, I believe, over 11.22 million tourists.
11 million for a country of 400,000 people.
Yep. Mostly from the U.S., naturally, given the proximity. It's an extraordinary reliance.
So obviously tourism is king. But is there anything else significant propping up the economy?
Yes. There's another major pillar, though less visible to the average tourist. That's the offshore financial services sector.
Ah, the tax haven aspect.
That's the term often used, yes. It's a major center for international banking and finance, attracting businesses due to its favorable tax environment. It brings in significant revenue.
So two big engines. Tourism and finance. What about other sectors like making things or growing things?
Much, much smaller. Agriculture and manufacturing together only make up about 5 to 7% of GDP.
Really? That low?
Yeah. Which means, and this is a key point, the country relies very heavily on food imports.
Okay. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, having an economy so concentrated on tourism, which can be volatile, and finance, what are the implications? Potential vulnerabilities?
Well, that's the constant balancing act, isn't it? Tourism can be hit by hurricanes, global recessions, pandemics, as we've seen. Finance is maybe more stable, but subject to international regulations and pressures. Relying heavily on imports, especially food, also creates vulnerabilities around price fluctuations and supply chains.
It really highlights the strategic challenges. So with this economic picture, how does the Bahamas invest in its people? Let's talk education first.
Okay. The education system follows a pretty standard structure. 6 years of primary school, then 3 years of junior secondary, and finally 3 years of senior secondary.
So a 6-3-3 system.
Exactly. And it's compulsory and free for kids aged 5 to 16. The aim is universal access to basic education.
What are the key milestones within that system?
Well, at the end of junior secondary, students take the Bahamas Junior Certificate, or BJC. Then finishing senior secondary leads to the BGCSE. That's the Bahamian General Certificate of Secondary Education.
And that's the ticket to higher education or jobs.
Generally, yes. And for higher education, the main institution is the University of the Bahamas.
All right, that used to be the College of the Bahamas.
It did. It evolved and now offers bachelor's and even master's degrees across several campuses. It's the key provider of tertiary education.
Any challenges within the system? I mean, every country faces some.
Sure. Like many public systems, they deal with pressures. Things like potential overcrowding in some schools or ensuring resources are distributed evenly across all the islands, which goes back to that geography point.
Makes sense. Okay, beyond education, what about the social safety net? Is there a strong system in place?
Yes, there is. It's centered around the National Insurance Board, the NIB. It was set up back in 1972 under the National Insurance Act and got going in 74.
And what does the NIB cover?
It's actually remarkably comprehensive. It provides benefits for sickness, maternity leave, invalidity, if someone becomes unable to work.
Okay.
Retirement pensions, survivor's benefits if a contributor passes away, funeral grants, unemployment benefits, and also industrial injury cover.
Yeah, that's a very wide range.
It is. And importantly, the NIB also covers non-contributory pensions and assistance. So even if someone hasn't paid in enough over their working life, there's still a basic level of support available.
That sounds quite generous, especially the non-contributory part.
It is, particularly the social assistance pensions. They're actually set at about 106% of the poverty line.
Higher than the poverty line itself.
Yes, which is notably higher than many of its Caribbean neighbors. It shows a real commitment to social support.
That's impressive. Is everything fully implemented? Any new developments?
Well, what's fascinating here is the ambition. But it's worth noting that a national health insurance law, which was passed back in 2016 with the aim of providing universal health care, that remains unimplemented as of our sources. So the healthcare expansion aspect is still kind of pending, indicating ongoing discussions or challenges there.
Right, implementation can be complex. Okay, let's shift gears to something practical. Getting around. With 700 islands, connectivity must be key. What's the infrastructure like?
It's crucial. On land, they have about 2,718 kilometers of roads, and over half of that, around 560 kilometers, is paved.
And driving is British style.
Yes, drive on the left.
Yeah.
Which is always good to remember if you're visiting from North America.
Definitely. And I heard something about golf carts.
Yes. In some of the quieter areas, the out islands or parts of New Providence, golf carts are actually a pretty common way to get around locally. Adds to that relaxed island vibe, I suppose.
I can picture that. What about public transport in the busier places like Nassau?
The main system is the jitneys. These are privately owned shared buses or minibuses. They run on set routes and they're very affordable, typically costing between $1 and $3 per ride.
The local way to travel.
Absolutely. And they're actually modernizing it. A new unified digital payment system, the UPTC Jitney Pass, started rolling out in 2023. It lets you plan routes and pay digitally.
Making it easier to use.
Hopefully, yes. And then, of course, because it's an archipelago,
Air and sea travel are vital.
Essential for connecting the islands. There are 61 airports scattered across the Bahamas. The main international hub is Linden-Pindeling International Airport in Nassau.
61 airports. That's a lot.
Oh.
Okay, so we've covered geography, politics, economy, social systems, infrastructure. Let's talk about the people who shaped the nation. National heroes.
Right. And you really have to start with Sir Linden-Pindeling.
The name sounds familiar.
He's often called the father of the nation. He was the first black premier back when it was still a colony from 67 to 69.
Okay.
And then he served as the first prime minister of an independent Bahamas for a very long time, from 1969 right up to 1992. He led the country to independence in 1973.
So truly a pivotal figure in modern Bahamian history.
Absolutely foundational. His leadership really set the direction for the independent nation.
And beyond the political arena, any key figures in, say, education or social movements?
Definitely. Mabel Walker stands out. She was the founding president of the Bahamas Union of Teachers.
Important for educators.
Very. And she was also a major leader in the women's suffrage movement, fighting for the right to vote.
A pioneer on multiple fronts then.
Indeed. And she, along with other key suffragists, was later honored on Bahamian postage stamps, which is a nice recognition of her impact.
That's great. Anyone else significant, perhaps in higher education?
Yes, Kiva Bethel. She holds the distinction of being the first president of the College of the Bahamas, the institution that later became the University of the Bahamas.
So instrumental in building up higher education capacity.
Crucial role. What stands out here really is how these individual contributions in politics, education, social justice all wove together to build the foundations of the modern Bahamas we see today.
It gives you a sense of the personalities behind the structures. Now, to bring it down to the ground level,
Yeah.
let's talk about daily life, particularly in Nassau, New Providence, where most people live. What's it like beyond the tourist hotspots?
Well, Nassau isn't just one monolithic city. It's actually a collection of quite diverse neighborhoods.
Can you give some examples?
Sure, you have areas perhaps more known to tourists, like Cable Beach with its resorts, or Paradise Island.
Right.
But then you also have historic communities like Fox Hill, very exclusive areas like Lyford Cay, and older working class neighborhoods like Grantstown, among many others. Each has its own history, its own feel.
So that there's a real contrast within the city itself between, say, the luxury tourist zones and the everyday communities where most Bahamians live and work.
Absolutely. There's a definite contrast between the, luxurious resorts catering to visitors and the textures of local working class communities. But it's not necessarily a sharp divide. It's more that these different elements weave together. They coexist and interact, and that's what forms the island's rich, complex social mosaic. It reminds you it's a real place, not just a backdrop.
A living, breathing nation with all its complexities. That's a great way to put it. Well, this has been quite the journey, hasn't it? We started with that postcard image.
Sun, sand, turquoise water.
Exactly. And hopefully what we've unpacked shows that the Bahamas is genuinely so much more than that. It's a dynamic nation, yes, but also one with a functioning parliamentary democracy, significant strides in education, and pretty robust social support systems.
And as we saw, these achievements didn't just happen. They're deeply connected to the groundwork laid by visionary leaders, people like Pindeling, Walker, Bethel.
Right.
And also to that vibrant, unique island culture that permeates Bahamian life. It's a story of building a nation and an identity.
So what does this all mean when you pull it together? What's the takeaway for you listening?
I think it highlights the complex balancing act the Bahamas is constantly performing. On one hand, that undeniable, vital economic reliance on tourism and finance. But set against that are the ongoing efforts to diversify the economy, to strengthen those social safety nets we talked about, and crucially, to nurture and protect a strong sense of national pride and unique Bahamian identity. It's not easy.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought to leave you with as you reflect on this deep dive. Consider this. How does a nation known the world over primarily as a tropical paradise,
Right, that postcard image again.
how does it manage to preserve its own unique cultural mosaic, its distinct identity, and chart its own course while being so interconnected with, and in some ways dependent on, the outside world?
It's a fascinating question. How do they keep that balance between welcoming the world and remaining uniquely Bahamian?
Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.